All right, guys, this is Ride 4. We are checking it out for the first time today. The game, I believe... Let me check. Should be releasing this Thursday. Yeah, this Thursday. It's probably Monday when you're seeing this video. But, yes, this is the... we're going to focus on the Supermoto part. And the game has a ton to offer outside of Supermoto. So if you're going to buy the game, you should enjoy the rest of the game as well. But I will say I'm a bit disappointed. The video is kind of split up into three parts. A race against the AI, the wheelies, and the drifting, because people usually ask me about that. And the bike customization, tracks, and the bikes in the game. So that is how the video is set up. Let's jump into it and check out Ride 4. Alright, so the first thing I want to talk about is how the game feels, and the easiest way for me to explain that to you is it kind of feels, and I guess it looks the same or similar to Ride 2. It's really weird. I felt like Ride 3 was significantly different from Ride 2. Whether you thought that was a good change or a bad change, I felt like it was good for the most part. I enjoyed Ride 3 and the Supermoto, but this game, I enjoyed Ride 2, don't get me wrong, but it just feels more similar to Ride 2. The bike, it feels kind of heavy and clunky compared to Ride 3, and I know it's not Supercross and MXGP here, but it just feels a lot different. It doesn't feel... Ride 3 felt lighter. And the other thing that kind of bothers me about this game is that there really isn't any dedicated Supermoto track. Okay, so Ride 2 and Ride 3 had some Supermoto tracks. Most of them were from Italy, I believe. But this game doesn't really appear to have any Supermoto track, like Ride 2 and 3, and so it's like they just put the Supermoto bike in the game to have the Supermoto bike in the game without having a track. I mean, Ride 3 had 2 or 3 different Supermoto tracks. I believe Ride 2 had 1 or 2, maybe more, I don't remember. But this game, I went through all the tracks, the different variants to each track, and I didn't find any one that felt like it was made for just a Supermoto bike. So I guess I'm disappointed in the Supermoto side, but again, if you're buying this game, you should enjoy all the other bikes and the tracks and the time of day and the weather conditions and the fact that there's like 200 or almost 200 different bikes in the game. So the Supermoto has been and always has been, I guess, a small part of the ride games. But since we play Supercross, motocross games, the Supermoto is the part of the game that I enjoy the most. And I'm sure that they've sold copies of this game because of the Supermoto. Maybe not a ton, but some. So if you're buying the game just for Supermoto, I wouldn't recommend it. If you're buying the game for all the other bikes and the tracks and all the other features in the game, then it might be worth it. But just for Supermoto, definitely not. The bike, it just, again, if you enjoyed Ride 2, you might enjoy this version of the game. And I did, but the fact that there is no tracks and I don't know, it's just disappointing. The AI is pretty good. I had the AI set on pretty easy and didn't win all the time. Okay, they were pretty tough. Plus, I don't know these tracks. I'm not familiar with it. I don't normally play these kind of games, so I'm not a pro at it or anything. So I do have the arrows. Okay, forgive me. Forgive me if you're a pro and you think it's super noob to have the arrows. But that's the way I wanted to play, and I know it's not in a Supercross game, but in a ride game, not familiar with it, not familiar with the tracks, I don't mind it. It doesn't bother me. It helps me decide when I should start braking, and more for just where the track is going to go. And I did practice on this track, but I didn't have it completely memorized. So overall, Supermoto, cool to see it. By the way, there is only the Kawasaki, a Husky, the TM, and a Yamaha, I believe. So not a ton of Supermoto bikes, but I just feel like it's getting more and more neglected every new game we get, which is really unfortunate. Alright, so this is the wheelies and drifting part of the video. People ask me about this when I play ride games, so I want to show you. But if you have the riding assist turned off or turned on, you can basically wheelie infinitely. You don't crash. There really isn't a consequence to doing a wheelie. It just, you can hear the bike regulating itself so it doesn't loop, I guess. It's fun, and if you just want to do wheelies and not have to practice, I would say this is the mode for you. I turned the riding assist all the way up to 3. You can see in the bottom right corner where it shows our tires. That is where you can see the 3 different riding assists you can have on. And I turned them all the way up to 3, and this is basically what it is. You can't really drift, and you don't crash. Here I turn the riding assist off, and you can see we crash right away. We wheelie, loop out, and there is way more consequence to trying to wheelie or drift if you have the riding assist off. My bad. There is a sweet spot, so if you're going fast enough, you can get a really good long wheelie in without having to worry about looping out. I think it's right here. Yeah, right here. So if you're going fast enough, you can do that infinite wheelie and not worry about crashing. But the wheelies at low speeds and the drifting, much more difficult. It's way more easy to wheelie off the line or coming out of a corner or whatever. And even if you get a long wheelie going, the bike starts to wobble and you can crash. And you will see that here at the end of this clip, where we do get a pretty good wheelie, but we get a pretty serious wobble, and we do end up crashing. So for me, it is fun, I think, in my opinion, to do it with the riding assists off, I guess, because it's way more of a challenge. And since we don't have Supermoto tracks, I guess I'm going to be doing a ton of wheelies and drifting. But speaking about drifting, here I kind of show you, it's similar to past games, I guess, where it's not like you're going to throw it completely sideways around a corner. This isn't flat track, but you can get some drifting going. And on some of the really tight turns, you can square it off. I mean, it isn't Supercross, Motocross, but it's similar to that. So yeah, the drifting, it's there. It's not bad. I wouldn't say it's better or worse. It's just similar to past ride games, I guess. There isn't, again, it isn't flat track, so you're not throwing it sideways around a corner really, but it's still fun. Still fun. Here's the bike manufacturers. I didn't show you all the bikes because that would have taken forever. That would have to be like a separate video. The problem is, it's not that I couldn't go through all the bikes. It's the fact that it took a minute for each bike to load in so you could see it. And that would have taken forever, so I just decided to show you the manufacturers. Here is the bike customization. It isn't Supercross or MXGP customization, but it isn't bad. It's similar to past ride games. I feel like it isn't worse. Maybe it's a bit better, but it still is a bit limited. But again, similar to past ride games. It isn't MXGP and it isn't Supercross customization, but it is still pretty good and it is necessary. You do need to buy certain parts so you can adjust on the suspension, on your bike setup, adjust on the transmission before race. You know, you have to upgrade the bike if you want to make your own bike setup, which is similar to Ride 2 and Ride 3. And then I was going to show you the rider customization, but it's almost the same as it was in Ride 3. It actually, I feel like it probably has a bit more rider customization, but it's pretty much the same. If you've seen Ride 3 or Ride 2 or played one of the two of them, then you know how the bike or the rider customization is. And finally, at the end here, I wanted to show you the tracks in the game. There are a ton. They're gorgeous. The graphics are amazing. Tons of bikes. I'm just disappointed we didn't get a Supermoto track or a dedicated Supermoto track. So this is my first impressions, kind of how I feel about it. If you guys were curious, on the fence about picking it up, maybe help you with your decision. But you guys and girls are absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for the support on the channel lately. It really does mean a lot. And until the next video, take it easy.